Hello and welcome to the Mortgage Broker Builder Show, where we talk all kinds of things. We talk tech, we talk sales, we talk mortgage. This week, we've got a super exciting guest. He's been with a company going back all the way to 2018, back when POSs were just a buzzword and not everybody had one, and they were figuring it out. But we've got Nick Tarsi here from Floify. He was employee number 16, one of the longest tenured people on their sales staff, and has literally spoke to thousands of people about their point of sale, different ways to improve their business. So Nick, welcome.
Thanks, John. Glad to be here. Thanks for having some time. Look forward to talking and discussing fintech and where the point of sale is within the broker space.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. And I get the question a lot of times, like, what do you think of this? What should I use? And I get just inundated with questions about what kind of tech stack should people have? And I know, right, there's all-in-one systems. There's a whole bunch of different things. But one company that came up kind of constantly just as best of breed in just the POS space, in the point of sale space, and I know you guys have expanded out, was Floify. So it was a name that I heard over and over. I have used it myself. Different companies I know use it. So kind of going back, so you've been there since 2018. I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes. What's kind of like the things that have you right now most excited about where the space is going, where Floify's at, and kind of what the outlook looks like for your business moving forward?
Yeah, that's great question. And you're right. I've seen so much. I mean, in 2018, the conversations were, how do I move from an Excel sheet onto an online portal? And now it's a different online portal that they may have been using, but we're always on the search for something better, for efficiency and innovation. And that is also on the Floify side. We always want to be innovating. We are always keeping a finger on the pulse of the market and adjusting and adding to settings and innovations. Whether it's expanding on some LOS features like the ability to run dual AUS, or if it's, adjusting to being able to cater to different clientele like Spanish subtitles on the application. Floify is always looking for that edge, what is new in the market, and how can we give that to the brokers to help them generate more revenue and create more, brand loyalty and clientele loyalty. The space is very exciting. It's always, there's certainly some peaks and valleys in it, but when you find that right technology, you're able to sustain those valleys and really maximize the peaks at a great rate.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to kind of digress and back up here. I often will why am I here? Why do I have any authority just to even have this conversation? So just a quick little tidbit about me as you're seeing this. I've been doing loans for 27 years. I've got a 4-digit NMLS and literally have helped thousands of loan officers earn hundreds of millions of dollars of commission using a whole lot of different systems. So that's why I have the relationship I do with Floify. And then Nick has been the longest tenured salesperson there. So what makes him an authority to talk to this? He's literally talked to, I have no idea, thousands of people. If somebody had Floify over the last, 7 years, there's probably a really good chance that Nick was at some way, shape, or form involved. So he's literally seen the pitfalls, the hurdles, people that were with them left, came back. So when you talk about an expert in the area, we definitely have an expert here. So that's our background, why you should listen to us. Well, we think we're cool. But in addition to that, the other things I just said. So Nick, you just brought up something that's really good. Dual AUS. And I don't think a lot of people know about this, but Floify, you guys, you can be you're more than just a point of sale now. Can you just tell me a little bit about that for maybe the broker just getting started out that's looking for a solution?
Absolutely. So there is, there's a number of ways to build your tech stack. If you're getting started out, especially if you're coming from the retail space where a lot of the technology was provided for you, getting into the broker world where you're doing your own shopping for the best point of sale, potentially in LOS, it can be overwhelming. Floify is a dedicated point of sale. Our borrower experience, the customization, we're going to shine. We're unmatched there. We also do have a number of LOS features where a broker or a certain brokering model may not need to keep that dedicated LOS separate from Floify. You have the ability to run AUS within our portal, as I mentioned earlier. We have an integration with pricing engines. You can generate call reports. Now, if there is a mandated LOS, we do integrate with a number of those premier broker LOSs out there. But for someone getting started out, as John mentioned, Floify can be your entire front end and your internal point of record as well.
And so brokers, if you're just getting started out and you're looking for like, what is that one piece of tech? What I tell a lot of people that have questions about where to go, you can take Floify from where it sits today. They have clients that range from one person sitting in their basement doing one loan a month, all the way to some of the nation's largest lenders are using it as their point of sale across the board. So it's the one kind of tech that you can have that literally grows with your company from where you sit today to a seller servicer. Rocket Mortgage could use Floify for their entire, customer facing interface. Granted, they built their own, but they could use yours. It's robust enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So something just to think about there. And when you get into that, so I know that workflows are really important. And I talked to processors that have used it in the past that use it today. They all love it. Can you just tell me a little bit about how hard is it to get set up, like creating workflows? Is it super labor intensive to actually get Floify up and working in my business?
No, not at all. We have been at this for a while. I've been doing this for going on 7 years. Floify predates me a few years before that. Part of the innovation I mentioned earlier is continuing to develop our default settings or best practices, whatever you want to call them. I sign up folks weekly, daily on a basis where they do not have time to do this rebuild, change everything, tweak it out for their exact settings. They are able to get an account going, watch either attend some live training or watch a webinar and hit the ground running in under 48 hours, even 24 hours in a pinch. We have developed, whether it's adjusting the required fields on the application, whether it's having a very robust document repository. So there's very few things that you might have to add to the system. We have folks that can get started and then dive right in. It might take a little longer to become an expert and know every little nuance within the system, but you can absolutely be up and running within a day or two. And that is pretty amazing with how granular the setup can be. It doesn't have to be that way.
I think that that's mission critical. And most brokers and most people, a lot of tech builds like this massive, they're building something that they'll never even use. And then there's this massive disconnect between what the tech can do and where they sit today. And there's no real good way to bridge the gap. So what you're saying is you guys have out of the box, you've bridged that gap to where somebody can literally plug and play and it works for them right out of the box.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether it's the conditional logic that we have working behind the application that works nationwide, they don't have to rebuild if then logic to have the right documents requested. They can send out an application that afternoon and the borrower gets a needs list right away because we've thought about what answer to what question triggers what request of a document. It's already been thought out. Now, that's not to say that you cannot go very into the setup and adjust those rules and go very specific into a workflow, but you do not have to. If I need to get going right away, boom, you have a system that you can sign on and hit the ground running quickly with.
And that whole system on the back end, if you are somebody that likes to nerd out, it's all done no code, right? It's like a knuckle dragger like myself could figure out how to go in and put in, I need this and this disclosure, or it's a particular employer that I might maybe have a home loan benefit program with, and they need to give me something. I could go in there and customize that relatively easily to ask for that extra document right inside of your system. And I don't need a PhD in computer science.
Absolutely not. For the application itself, it's checkboxes. You're removing, or if you want to add questions, it's typing it up. There's no coding or developing background that you need to dial in your front end system. And again, we have it set up so even if there is one change that you might need, we have so many of the other the settings established, they're ready to go. If we do have live support, we have a number of training methods for that one change you want to make, but no, you do not need a background in developing or engineering or HTML as a second language. It's an everyman's point of sale, if you will.
I like that. I hear a lot of inside of things about your agent portal and how Floify can actually help you with your real estate agents, your referral partners. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, one of the biggest ways to to survive the valleys that we sometimes see in this market is not only borrower loyalty. That's the kind of straightforward, but referral partner and realtor loyalty. Floify allows you to establish not only or strengthen your already established partnerships, but create more, and there's no downside to it. You can be co-branded with realtors, folks you just met, a nephew that just got into the industry. You can add them to your system, and when they have clients to send your way, it didn't cost you anything. So you can be proactive in strengthening these relationships beyond the just initial, hey, go talk to this broker, he's great kind of introduction. The realtors get updates throughout the process. Now that is at the discretion of the broker. So you can, limit what you send and when you send it, but you have full control over giving the updates. So there's less times of that realtor doesn't know what's going on and they got to call you to ask. What that does is it allows them to want to work with you more. Like, yeah, they could call and get an update and take time away from both of you. But if they don't have to, if they can log into a portal and see exactly where their client is on a Sunday morning while they're sipping their coffee, and they can go into the weekend, go into the rest of the day with that comfort, it really does make them want to work with you next time. So it's easy to connect you and introduce you to clients. And then once that connection is established, the partners get all the updates they could possibly need, as well as always an overview of, okay, where things are. Do I need to be involved today, or are things moving along nicely?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a real estate agent that said my loan officer over communicated with me. I knew too much about what was happening with the file.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's fantastic, and something that is overlooked. To get repeat business from real estate agents, you've got to do a better job than most as far as communication, and something like this, you can use tech to aid in that process. You had mentioned something before as you kind of go into the realtor portals and those kind of things. I talk to a lot of people that are dealing with, Spanish speaking clients, people that speak other languages. Can you just touch on what, I know that your system does something with, it will convert documents to different languages, those kind of things. What, can you give me a little color on that?
Yeah. One of the things what's the saying? The devil is in the details. Well, with Floify, the difference is in the details. We have a number of nuanced features. Specifically what John is referencing to is Spanish subtitles on the application. So it is an English application. It won't affect the language that disclosures have to go out in, but the borrower, if English is a second language, can turn on Spanish subtitles. And the broker can even send the link with those already enabled. But that way they can see this and they don't have to plod through it with is English being a second language. It can be subtitled in Spanish. So it does not have to be a non-starter for any potential applicants. To my knowledge, we're the only folks in the industry that do that. And it's, there's certain markets where it's paramount. Most of the clientele might prefer to take the application in Spanish, but it's also one of those things where it should always be available. I don't want someone to get to my page. I've been recommended by a realtor, but they're not going to move forward because they're not comfortable filling in my application. That's just a missed opportunity. And being able to have the Spanish subtitles on the application should eliminate any reason that client does not move forward with your application.
And I think it's great for the real estate agent as well, because a lot of times they end up playing the middle person, right? They end up reviewing the documents and doing those kind of things. So again, just another way to strengthen that relationship.
Hey, if you're here, it's because you understand that the world is changing at an alarming rate, and you understand that big data is going to dominate as we move forward. Either you're going to use it to grow your market share, or somebody's going to use it against you to grow theirs. If you want to dig a little bit deeper here, take a look at your own business, figure out and identify some key constraints, maybe some things that you could do a little bit differently to grow a little faster. Here's what I can tell you. After 27 years of doing this, helping well over 1,000 loan officers earn hundreds of millions of dollars in commissions, there are a couple of key constraints inside of your business. I don't know what they are right now. I just know that they exist. So if you're curious about this, let's get on a strategy call. Take 20, 30 minutes. You will walk away with one or two actionable items that you can do to do more business as you move forward. There'll be a link someplace here on the page. I look forward to personally meeting you.
So you got a lot of years doing this. What are some pitfalls that you've seen? And I know you have clients, right? It's the tech space. You have clients that are with you. They leave, they come back. What are some pitfalls that you've seen, and just some best practices maybe that you would share from people that left, and maybe why they came back, or different kind of epiphanies? I know there's some company out there where think some people like got a tattoo that said Floify to like, they left and it was like some weird thing they did to come back. Can you just give me a little bit of color on that? Cause I think it's important.
Absolutely. There's a number of point of sales out there. And at the end of the day, there's kind of a general goal. We want to give you an borrow should be automated. It should be secure. We want to have an efficient workflow. Everyone's striving to do that. But how we get the brokers there is where Floify shines. And I know everyone's going to say they have the best service, but we actually do. We will answer the phone. It's not putting in a ticket and I hope I get a response in a day or two about my issue. I've been at this a while. I certainly know enough to be dangerous. And I always tell my clients, call me. I'll hash it out with you. We can discuss why you might want to make this change, what it would look like. I'll even advise people that I don't think you should do it. Not everyone always listens, but that's great. That dialogue is why people love working with Floify. We want to be, a consultative partner, not just a vendor. And I have that from even the initial sales demo when I'll be talking to someone that's new to brokering. We're like, hey, what's the first step? What's the first piece of technology? Which credit vendor do you recommend? Which e-signature vendor do you use? I mean, we're way beyond just me selling them, a Floify application in a doc portal. I create this conversation where we can set up your entire process. And I know enough that I can make those recommendations. Now, everyone should still always do their own research. I'm one of our resources, but that approach to that we're in this together is really where Floify separates itself from the pack. And that carries over. That's not just the account executives that feel this way. Our support specialists rather, they send videos. You call in with a question of, hey, how do I fix this? They address it and then show you a video of it in action in what they did. So there's hey, it's fixed. Here's how I did it. And that is just kind of unheard of today in the fintech space and in many industries, honestly. So yeah, that brand loyalty, people love working with Floify because they've been successful with Floify. And then when they go elsewhere and it's not remotely on par with what they've experienced with us, yes, they do quickly come back. And it's not just for the free socks and t-shirts. It's that they want to have the best system and have that consultative partner within their point of sale.
Yeah, I think that what I see a lot of places you end up with, right? They're a website and they happen to have like this, they also have a point of sale, or they're an LOS that also has a point of sale. So their main thing is the LOS, not the point of sale, or their main thing is, and it's kind of like a throwaway. It's a gimme to entice you, where you are the point of sale and everything else, right, is secondary to you, which makes you a little bit different across the board. I also know that there's different ways that people save money with you and increase revenues by like DocuSign integrations, just some different things that you don't maybe have to go out and get on your own. Can you touch on that? How maybe you help people save more money or do things more efficiently?
Yeah. And a lot of it's pretty straightforward. Work smarter, not harder is a cliche for a reason. It's something we're all kind of striving for in all industries. Well, when you do free up that time, because you're not chasing documents or converting JPEGs to PDFs, by freeing up that time, you can attend an open house. You can make a new partner. You can strengthen your marketing resources. So the time is certainly in and of itself moves the needle as far as generating revenue. When it comes to cost savings, there's two big glaring, features that we have that nobody else really has. Floify eSign is included in all subscriptions. So you do not need to keep that e-signature vendor around. You don't have to keep paying for envelopes with another e-signature. Floify eSign is fully compliant and included in all subscriptions. The other one in that brand new tool that we just launched about 60 days ago is Floify Verify. Well, this is for verification of income and employment. It is powered by Argyle. But we've been able to basically allow these reports at a fraction at some of the competitors. And we all know who I'm talking about, but as those prices have gone up, it's become a challenge. And, when do I verify? Am I going to spend this much money on a joint report? We wanted to take that away. So we have Floify Verify. That's a fifth or a quarter of the cost of the vendors, but for both VOE and VOI reports. So there's ways to turn the efficiency into making more, as well as using the right tech to save money on the other subscriptions you might need.
Nice. So I sign up. Let's say I sign up for Floify. What's like kind of the ongoing process to make sure, right? You've addressed the fact that if I have a problem, there's a support team there. Is there anything to kind of like, it's not one of these things I just buy and forget. Like you guys stay with me and are constantly bringing me updates, different things, educating me kind of along the way. Is that true?
Absolutely. So yeah, we do have educational webinars every quarter that we run. And then when we, I talked about innovation earlier, as we launch new features, it's not just we tell people that aren't subscribing so they get excited to subscribe. We make sure that the existing clientele, the folks that we already have that partnership with, they not only that they are well aware of all new features, but clear paths to implementation. So I'll just circle back to Floify Verify, as I mentioned. That went all over. We marketed to everybody that this is coming. But when we did that, then we did live calls to make sure that existing clients had understood their exact pricing, understood how they implemented it. And then that was all done like one-on-one. It wasn't a mass, hey, watch this video and good luck. We wanted to, if you're excited about it, we want to be excited to show you about it and to help you turn it on. And we do stay with you throughout. My support team is very capable and very hands-on as far as any tangible changes you might need. And then I'm always here to, bounce ideas off of as well.
I think that's good, right? It didn't end up being bullet point number 5 in your quarterly, roadmap update of, your product update. What are some other things? If you were starting a brokerage today, we talk about tech stacks, what do you guys integrate with? And if you were starting a brokerage today, what would your tech stack look like? I know, and maybe you don't want to call out the LOS because I know you work with a bunch of them, but what would you be looking for as an individual in your tech stack as far as your big things, even if you don't mention the name?
Yeah. When I get on that call and it's, hey, I'm new to the broker space, I'm shopping for everything, what's the first domino to fall? There's a few things that people should be looking at. They should have a marketing plan, whether that's a CRM, or drip campaigns, or more standard drip campaigns. But the point of sale should be that first domino to fall, because it immediately helps you generate revenue, take in applications, close loans. A broker has the luxury of being able to choose their technology. When an LOS is mandated, like certain large national companies like Nexa, for example, they use a particular LOS. Well, we integrate with that LOS. So you have the ability to use what you're being told or mandated to use, but then you do have the freedom to pick the right technology next to it, and we integrate. For the other side of that, if I'm, hey, I'm making the switch, I got to get a couple loans in before I start spending a bunch of money on my technology. Well, if I can get you up and running, make sure, once you have that approval through, some of those larger wholesalers out there, you can use their portal as an LOS. So Floify can take in the applications and gather all documents and take over the communication right away without you needing any other software. So it typically is the one that I recommend as the first domino to fall for someone that's setting up a new shop. I do have some other favorites out there for the people that we integrate with. Reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Anybody one-on-one with any of those specific recommendations.
And on that, just direct integration with LOSs. I'm sure that, right, there's Encompass, Arrive, Lending Pad. You integrate right now today with pretty much every major LOS that's out there. Is that a fair assessment?
It is, with the exception of one that you mentioned, Arrive. We do not have an integration with them, but yes, we integrate with Lending Pad and Byte and Meridian and Lending QB, or that's to say Meridian, Encompass, Byte, and Lending Pad. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and Arrive, just so everybody knows, Arrive does not have a direct integration with anybody. It's all done via Zapier. So no one has that, regardless of what they say.
Sure.
And as far as on the CRM side, I know you guys have quite a few different integrations with different CRMs. If somebody's going to have one of those large CRMs out there as well, there's different integrations across the board, correct?
Absolutely. We have about a dozen of those that have already been written and developed, and it's just a matter of kind of turning them on and mapping how you want it exactly to work within the parameters of the integration. But we are on that open platform. So, contrary to what John just said about that other company, we are open. You can connect Floify to any other software that is also on an open platform, which really everybody is or should be these days. Could I have that open connectivity? We do keep our developer documentation available to all existing clients. So again, it's one of those things, I don't really need a developer. It is written out. The coding is for you. There's help articles available. You can connect to any CRM that we haven't established that connection already. You're able to integrate in a case by case. There's also some CRMs that, want to integrate with Floify. So they'll also do that legwork for you as well. So if you fall in love with a CRM, if that's the first thing you fall in love with, Floify can fit with it. If it's not already done, it can absolutely be connected. So they're going to sync back and forth organically.
So if somebody wants to, right, so they're sitting here listening to this, they say, hey, John's not a joke. I trust this guy. We want to move down this path. There's a couple of different ways to go about doing it. And what I like to tell people is, yeah, you can go sit in on another demo, but usually by the time you get to that demo, you already have kind of made the decision. You're just kind of wasting your time and the next person. But let's say somebody's sitting here, they're like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. This is the path I'm going to go. I've seen enough stuff. If somebody just wants to right now, just go in, sign up, and just get started, will you just walk me through what happens? I'm sure they go to some website, they fill out a couple of pieces of information, they enter a credit card in there, whether they're paying month to month or for the year, and then walk me through what happens from that point on. And what I'm trying to do here is, if you're at this point and you think this is something you like, don't even bother Nick with the demo. Let's just go ahead and sign up and then get a live demo with your real world. You're going to learn a lot more anyways. So it's kind of walk me through what happens there. I want to sign up. What's next?
Yeah. So once that you've made that decision, you're ready to move forward. We just simply need to confirm billing logistics, obviously, and then we build out the account. When that account clears our activation queue, which, it's always less than 24 hours, but it does go into a queue. You start receiving welcome emails to set password and verify accounts. We start sending training and webinar videos. We do have live trainings available too for certain subscribers. So that is something, if you'd like to dialogue, by all means, you can do that. Other folks like the webinar, I wanted to kind of watch it on my own pace on the couch later on today and pause, rewind. So we have resources for videos as well. So once the account clears that queue, you'll start seeing, an email to set a password. And then I send over links to those first couple training webinars, as well as a list of things that I could take off your plate. I talked earlier about how the default settings can turn it into a turnkey system other than branding. So I say, send me your logo, send me your headshot, send me your email signature. I will take care of all of that for you, so that once you do get that welcome email to set your password, you're going to see your branding in it shortly. Like, we take that off your plate. So we activate the account, and then there's a series of kind of hello, get started emails that go, and you'll have access, like I said, within that 24 hours, fully functional within 48, no problem.
So they sign up, they get a series of emails, 24, 48 hours later, they've got a working product that's out there for them to begin sending links out to clients, whatever it may be, shared links with real estate agents, but relatively turnkey. And I know you have two different pricing models. One is, and if somebody pays for a year, and then you can also go month to month. Can you just,
yes, we do. Yeah. So we do have non-committed accounts. As you can imagine, when no commitment, the price per month is a little bit higher. It is $99 to go month by month with no commit for a single LO or broker account. Within the annual scope, we have options to, commit for a year and stagger the billing monthly, or prepay for the year. And as you can imagine, prepay for the year does have the lower cost. And they're in line. It's, $74 to prepay per month, $79 if you want to go have monthly billing within that annual commitment. I will see folks that they have every intention of using it for the next year, but they do want to get that proof of concept. I totally understand that. So it is very fluid. If you feel the need to test it, you can. That $99 option is always going to be available to go month by month, and then as 60 days in, 90 days in, as you get that, okay, this is great. I'm definitely going to use this. This is now part of my tech stack. By all means, then switch to the annual plans and take advantage of those savings.
Yeah, and if you're anything like me, I am one of those people that like to kind of sniff things and feel it out.
Yeah.
I would be inclined to maybe sign up for the $99, make sure that it works and it's what I thought. And right at that point, at the end of probably 2 weeks, I'm either going to make a determination that, yeah, I'm going to continue down this path, or I'm going a different route anyways. So you can make that determination really quickly. But just a couple of things. Like I said, I know a lot of people that use Floify. I know a lot of people that love Floify. I know people that are processors that their companies have moved off of Floify and went someplace else. And I hear them complain all the time about, what they're stuck with today. And, that's not a decision for them to make, but, it's a great system across the board. I don't do these with companies that I think are schmucks or that aren't going to deliver. Again, my goal is to help every single broker or people that watch my stuff ultimately do more business and be successful. Because if you're out of business, then that's not good for anybody. And I think that Nick has been there long enough that he is just a wealth and a resource for anybody that's got questions about a point of sale or really anything in the space. He's been in there in the trenches for years.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Nick, that maybe I didn't ask, or maybe you get questions from people all the time that maybe you'd like to get out there?
No, I think one thing that we've discussed it, but I want to circle back in a little bit on what really does separate Floify. And it's the details. It's what we do provide beyond the scope of application and portal. We want to, I took very great pride when I joined Floify in that my clients, my clients, the brokers, they use my software because it helps their clients. So it's a twofold, sale. And I've been in sales for many years. I've sold other products that did not, make, that second level of help and success. So that is something that we take great pride in, and we want to give you all the specifics, the settings, the templates that make that level of achievement very possible. So it's really in that, and we want to make sure that there's a workflow for every single person that uses Floify to accommodate every single borrower personality. And we don't just kind of force you into a Floify shaped box. You're able to mold that workflow to exactly how you like to operate it and to cater to your clientele that you need to, of course, keep happy and create loyalty within.
And this is, for the most part, the interface between you and your client, right? This is the one thing that's going to get you a 5-star review. It's the one thing that's going to get you, referrals, you name it. It's the point of sale. It's the interaction throughout the process. And you can do it with passenger pigeons and Post-it notes, or you can use a real system on the back end to get this dialed in. Well, hey, Nick, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this. I get a lot of questions, like I said, about this very subject. Hopefully this can help people kind of glean out what path they want to go down. And the one tidbit that I would give you is, if you are planning on whether you want to be just a one-person show or you want to grow to hundreds of bankers, this is the one piece of tech that I would recommend that you can stick with all the way through. Because I'll make a different suggestion for your LOS today versus when you're a seller servicer to Fannie in a couple of years. That this is the one piece of tech that I would say is a common thread that can stick with you forever. So that's my little takeaway. If you guys have any questions, concerns for me about technology, anything at all, please reach out. If you have any questions for Nick about anything tech, I think he's very good at answering questions. And then we'll also have a place in here where you can go in, just a sign up intake form. You can go in there, fill it out, get signed up for yourself, begin that process. And within 48 hours from right now, you could be up and running with your very own version, branded to your company, your logo, your signature, all those things. Boom. You could have it 48 hours. It's all yours. So thank you for your time, Nick. You have a fantastic day. I truly appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah. Thank you, John. It was my pleasure.
If you're still here and you're watching this, you're probably getting something from our content. If so, maybe you know, or I'm sure you know, someone else that could also benefit. So if you could do us a solid, forward this, share it with your friends, other people that are like-minded that want help with simple solutions to grow their business. And if you want to do a little bit of a deeper dive someplace on here, there is a place to schedule a call with us to talk about your business and how we can grow it together. Look forward to hearing from you. Again, thank you for being here. Please do share.